Hello there and welcome to another tutorial from Beads Jar. I'm Natalia and today I am going to be showing you how to make these sparkling scarlet bicone crystal earrings. So these are inspiration for Valentine's Day with this amazing fiery red colour and the glittery facets of the bicones. And they're also very three-dimensional, so we've got two circular hoops going on, and also going to show you how to make this beaded bead, and it's super easy. So let's take a look and see what you're going to need to make this project. So here are the components you're going to need to make our sparkling scarlet bicone earrings. Our first component are these Chinese bicone crystal beads in red, and they are 4mm. Now you're going to need 66 beads to make both of these earrings, so I recommend that you order yourself 2 strands of these beads so that you've got enough, and you'll have some left over to even make yourself a pendant if you wish. Next we'll have some eye pins. These are silver plated. We've got 2 of those. These are 1.5 inch. And make sure that you get the soft version because they're easier to bend and wrap into loops. We've got 4 of the silver plated jump rings in 4mm. And we also have 2 of these ear studs. They are the ball and hook variety with little scroll backs to secure them. You're going to need a beading needle, and so I'm using a size 12 beading needle for this project. I'm also using some 0.4mm gauge wire, and you're going to need about 2/3 of a meter for each of the earrings. We're going to be using some fire line today. I'm using smoke colored fire line, and this is £6. Just a top tip, if you're using crystal color, it will stand out on these beads. I've found that the smoke blends in a lot better when you're making the beaded bead section of the earrings. So then in terms of our tools, you're going to need chain nose pliers, wire cutter pliers, round nose pliers, and I highly recommend you using nylon jaw pliers. So if you don't have any, in the show more section we've got links to our website where you can order a pair of these. These are brilliant, and when you're using wire in a circle like I'm using in this earrings, it gets a bit kinked and knotted, so it's really good to straighten it out with your nylon jaw pliers. So now we've got all of the ingredients we need, let's get started on making the earrings. We're going to start by making the beaded bead component, the section of the earring. So you can see there that is the one that is attached to the earring ball. And this is the simplest way that I know to show you how to make one of these without it being really enormous or you having to use different size crystals to make the volume of the bead. So I'm going to begin by, I've threaded some fire line onto my needle, and I've threaded on about 1/3 of a meter of fire line, and then I'm going to pop 5 of the bicones onto my beading needle. So just placing those on there, and I've watched lots and lots of other people's tutorials on how to do beaded beads, so I've kind of adapted this for myself, and I find this almost I like to simplify everything if I can, so this is my simple take on the beaded bead. So we've got 5 of the beads on the needle, so I'm just going to push them down onto the thread. So allow yourself a little tail, so I've left about 10 centimeters tail there, and I'm going to tie a knot at the end, and when I do that, that's just going to take those into a little circle shape like that. And I'm going to tie a couple more knots because we want this to be really secure. So just a normal overhand knot. Oops. Like that. And then the next knot that I'm going to do, I'm just going to knot it twice. It's called a surgeon's knot. So it's just basically going overhand twice. Pull that really tight. So you've got a nice secure base to the first part of your beaded bead. And then I'm going to take my needle up through the next bead there, just so it's out of the way of the knot. And it makes it even more secure by doing that. So pull the tail out of the way. And the next thing that I'm going to do is take another bead, thread it onto my needle. I'm going to take that across the center like that. so that we've got almost like a flower with a little centerpiece. And I'm going to take my needle through the beads that is directly opposite. Pull that thread tight. So you want these to be as tight as possible. So now you can see you've got almost like a little flower shape with a little bump in the middle. So that creates like the first half of your bead. And then I'm going to turn my piece over. I'm going to thread on. Actually, just going to take my thread up through the next bead there, just for security. And pull it tight. Okay, so then I'm going to thread another 5 beads onto my needle. So let's just get those on there. How many have I got there? I've got 4, and this is the 5th one going on now. And so that I'm just going to pull those tight. And then I'll show you this really carefully. I'm going to take my needle up through that bead that the thread is coming out of. Because what I want to do is to create another circle on the opposite side, like that. As you can see, we've got 2 little circles there, opposite one another. I'm going to turn this over. It's jumping around there, so just get that. So pull the thread tightly so that those are all nicely nestled in together. And we need another bead on top like that one. So I'm just going to thread that on to my needle. And I'm going to take my needle back through that bead opposite. And then pull everything tightly together. Let's just get that adjusted. So what I want is, just like the other one, I want everything really tight. And for that other bead to be sitting on top, so you may have to just jiggle everything around with your fingers to get everything as tight as you can. Let's do that. Okay, so now I have what looks like 2 halves of a hole there, and I'm going to sew them together. So I'm going to turn this over. I'm actually going to, before I do that, I'm just going to take my thread through the bead that's next to that bead. Take my needle across. I'm just threading through just to give it a little bit of extra tightness and body. All right, so now I've got those 2 halves. I'm going to turn that over. And what I want to do is just pop a bead in the center, because what that will do is it will create a place for my eye pin to go through when I start to form the earring. So you're just going to put that in the center, like that. You're going to pull those 2 halves together. I'm just taking my thread up into the next bead so I can start to sew these 2 so that they can connect with one another. So I've got my thread coming out there, and this is where we've got the 2 pieces that I want to join together. So I'm taking my needle through that bead there to join these together, so the thread's going across like a bridge. And then I'm just going to zigzag my needle across to each of the beads, and I'm going to sew it together like that. Okay, so then what you need to do is just take your thread and go back through some of the beads just to make sure that you're really securely connecting everything together. and just create stability within the beaded bead, like this. And as you can see, that the black thread just blends in so much better than the crystal coloured thread that I tried initially. So then you have your beaded bead, and in order to finish the beaded bead, all you need to do is to take your 2 pieces of thread and just pull them together, and then do a surgeon's knot. So you're going to do an overhand knot twice. Okay. So then when you finish, you're just going to snip the thread off, and then you have your beaded bead ready to be attached to your earring. So we'll do the next part of the earring now, and we'll bring the beaded bead back later on. So this is the next thing you need to do is to take your wire, and for the first circular part of your earring, you need to thread on 20 of these little red bicones. So I've done that already, and there they are on my wire. And then what I'm going to do is, so I put them right in the center of the wire, and then take one end of my wire, so make sure I've got equal amounts of wire at either end. I'm going to take the wire and pass it back through the beads. So just very gently and carefully threading all of those beads onto the other end of my wire. And this is going to create this lovely circular effect for the earrings. Just got those last few to get on there. This is the fiddly bit. Just take your time with it. And because we're using quite fine wire, so 0.4 is sturdy enough to hold these earrings together, but if you pull and you twist and you bend it too much, then what will happen is it will break. So be really careful and gentle with this. And so you're just pulling those into a circle like that. If you start tugging them with the pliers and everything, then you will break your wire. Trust me, I know. I've done this a few times. So don't worry too much about it being an absolutely perfect circle at this stage. When it's finished, you can tease it into shape. But what you want to do is make sure that you've got your top wires connected to one another and those beads snugly meeting one another at the top. So then I'm going to take this right hand wire, I'm going to pass it through the hole. Just make sure that you don't lose the tension as you're doing that on the wire, and then bring it up through like that. So it's coming out of the top there. All right. Then I'm going to take this left hand wire, I'm going to pull it down, and this is going to form the next circle that goes concentrically within the center of the earring. So for this second part of the circle on the earring, we're going to thread 13 of the bicones onto this other piece of wire. So I will just do that, and then I will come back to you when I've done all 13. We've got those 13 beads on there, so we're going to do the same maneuver that we did with the first part of the lower part of the earring. So taking my wire round, and I'm going to thread the other end of my wire, the opposite end of my wire, back through these beads. And this is the bit that is the trickiest part of making these earrings, trust me. You need to just take your time with it and go easy on it, and try as much as you can to keep the circle, because if you start straightening the wire, the beads just get stuck and they don't want to get threaded on. So you see what I mean about keeping it as a circle rather than having the wire straight. So you just feed those onto there, and then this is when you can start to pull your wire and it goes around a lot easier when it's circular like that. So very gently, this wire will go. You just need to do it very carefully and kind of pushing you can see how that wire has got a little bit kinked there, so I'm just going to bring my nylon jaw pliers in and straighten it out, and that'll make it easier for us. It also creates a natural bend in the wire, so I'm just pushing those around so I can pull. So this little maneuver here is the most intricate, and it will probably take you the longest time to do. So I'm going to do this, and I won't, oh actually I'm doing this a lot quicker than I did earlier. So there we go. So we've got those pretty much where I want them. I wasn't expecting to do it as fast as that. So once you've got your beads tightly aligned, then you're just going to push that one down in the center there, and you've got this excess wire here. So what I want to do is to just take it up over the top and back underneath through the center and up over the top again like that. And then back around and underneath again. Just pull that up. So that is really secure now. And I'm going to take my wire cutter pliers, and I'm just going to, very, very careful with this, snip off those excess pieces of wire. Careful you don't cut into those. And then take my chain nose pliers and just bend those little pieces of wire over to make sure that they're not sharp and sticking out. Tidy them up and push them down like that. And at this point, this is where you can make your earring centers rounder. You might want to have them as like a teardrop shape. If you prefer that, then that's up to you. Do actually look quite nice like that, don't they? With a little slightly teardrop shape. And then we're ready to attach our jump ring. So I'm going to get myself 2 pairs of pliers to open the jump ring. So taking one of those 5mm silver plated jump rings, open them up with both pairs of pliers, and I'm just going to pop the jump ring onto there, around the top of the earring, and then close it up. So that is now ready to receive the beaded bead. Okay, so here is my beaded bead, and I'm going to take one of my eye pins. Now if it's a little bit bent and curved, you can, this is a bit of a tip, is hold on to the eye of the eye pin, take your nylon jaw pliers and then just pull them up along the eye pin and whoops, hold on tight to it, and that really straightens it out and makes it nice and perfect. They never come looking perfect when they're in the packaging. Okay, and then I'm going to put that through the center bead that I have in my earrings. So there, I found my natural center of the bead, because there's a bead right down the middle of it that is where I'm actually placing that eye pin. And then the next thing that you want to do is to take your round nose pliers, holding onto your beaded bead, and then just bend your wire to a right angle. Take the wire up over the top of your pliers, and then take your chain nose pliers and just wrap that wire around the loop, the base of the loop, to create a wrapped loop. And then when you're happy, you can either use all of the wire, or you can get to a point where you're satisfied that you've wrapped far enough, and then just take your chain nose pliers, snip off that excess little piece of wire, and then this is where you can straighten out the loop, get it all nice and even and neat. And then we're going to take a jump ring, cut that bit, and then we're going to open the loop at the bottom of the eye pin there. So just going to open that up and pop that into the jump ring that I attached to the base of the earring, like that. And then we're going to close that up securely. And now we're ready to attach the earring component. So we have this little ball and hook earring, which is really nice because then it just, if you use a fish hook earring wire, it kind of elongates the earring, but those ones, it just means that the emphasis is on the beaded bead and the dangly bit. So we're going to take another one of our jump rings. I'm just going to open that up, attach it there to the wire wrapped loop, and then pop my little hook part of my earring wire onto there and close it up. And then all I need to do is to add the little scroll to the back of the earring like that. So there we have our two earrings. And hopefully you will agree they look very, very inspirational for Valentine's Day, but they can also be worn any time of the year, but particularly romantic looking pair of earrings. And all you have to do is follow the process, watch the video again to make your second earring, and then your pieces of jewellery are complete and ready to be worn. Okay, so I hope that you've enjoyed our project today. I hope it's given you plenty of inspiration to make some of these for Valentine's Day or for beyond, because they're perfect for any time of the year. And please, if you like this video, please comment or like and share. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you don't miss out on any of the other tutorials that we're going to be bringing you very soon. If you'd like to order any of the components that you've seen in this project, just have a look at the Show More box down below where you'll find links to our website. So we'll catch up with you very soon for another tutorial. Bye for now.